everybody. We are back for another episode of the Big Picture Manatee. And this is where we take a deep dive into news that's happening in Manatee County. And boy, do we have a lot of it. It's sometimes hard to pick what to talk about. But today, I think there's a subject on a lot of people's minds, and that's the Manatee County Supervisor of Elections and the selection of a new appointment. So I'm Sherry Courier, was formerly with Manatee County and as the administrator, and now a consultant out on my own in the world.
And I'm Misty Servia, former county commissioner, and also a consultant in the planning world.
And I am Reggie Bellamy, a former county commissioner in District 2, and I'm having a proud Wildcat moment. At Bethune-Cookman University, enter to learn and depart to serve. Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello. Well, okay, so as I mentioned, back in February, we reported about this topic, which Mike Bennett at the time, Supervisor of Elections for Manatee County, longtime supervisor, he announced he was going to retire from that position effective March 1st. And so when he did that, he recommended publicly to the governor here that he appoint Scott Farrington, which was his current chief of staff, to replace him. And Scott Farrington had a lot of years there. So I think that's how it went down, right, Misty?
Well, not exactly, but we usually. Unfortunately, we're in this time right now where our local politics all the way up to the state level, it seems to be that decisions are made more at the whim of those who are the major donors and asking for certain things rather than decisions based on what's best for the people. I mean, I just don't know how else to say that. So yeah, so what happened was a current county commissioner, James Satcher, was appointed as the SOE over Scott Farrington. And, you know, for those of us who know anything about those two individuals, it was an outrageous decision. James Satcher not only doesn't have any experience in running an elections operation, and Scott Farrington has a master's degree and decades of experience doing so. You know, Mr. Satcher doesn't have any experience in running any type of organization, frankly. And I just don't know how he's going to manage, frankly, in that role. It just was a very bad decision, but that is the decision that was made. The governor had the right to make that decision, and he did. And so that's where we are today. Now, it is just an appointment for a short period of time, and the election will decide who will sit in that role for the next 4 years. And that election is going to be decided in the primary in August. And Scott Farrington had already filed and decided to run before that appointment was even made clear to us. So now we're going to have former Commissioner Satcher running for the same seat that Scott Farrington is running for to serve as our Supervisor of Elections. Reggie?
Well, one of the things that I think about, and I know both individuals, and I'm not going to go, you know, good, bad, one or the other. I'm going to speak more on, you know, being on the inside, you know, as far as the Supervisor of Elections office and the experience that I had being on the canvassing board. First of all, I just want to make sure I extend my sincere thanks and appreciation to Mike Bennett, you know, for all of his service that he has and all of the work that he's done to put the Supervisor of Elections office where it is right now currently. Well, prior to him transitioning out. And I was able, during my commission, to build good relationships with both Scott and obviously as a colleague, Commissioner Satcher as well. But more important to me, what I learned when I was on the canvassing board. And it's very, very in-depth. And I think the important thing about the learning, it gives me great, clear understanding on how well Scott and Mike and the crew full of volunteers, did everything during the election process. And more importantly, the integrity of the election process is something that we want to make sure that we continue to maintain. There will be some concerns about that, but here's the reality of it at this point. I don't have any concerns because of how solid the system that Mr. Bennett put in place. And this is probably why when we start talking about experience or lack thereof, some people lean one way instead of the other. The important thing in all of it is the democratic process. And make sure you go out and vote and make sure that your voice count. I think that's the most important thing, but my comments about what has taken place, it just gives me concerns. I applaud anybody on their decision-making process, but unfortunately, all of us have a lot of philosophical differences. And it's starting to, bring a lot more questions. And, since I've been a county commissioner, since some of the stuff that took place, we just had a lot of concerned decision-making that has taken place. And now it's leaked over into the Supervisor of Elections office. And I think we may have some challenges. And I'm sure he's going to have some challenges because of the learning curve. And I'll be totally honest with you, I had a learning curve when I came in as a county commissioner as well. So obviously there'll be some concerns there.
Well, I'm going to challenge you both on something here too, and that is you both served and completed a 4-year term of commissioner. You completed from beginning to end. So that means you were involved in the budget process 4 different times. And I'm trying to remember, and I think I have this right, although, help me out, but I don't recall ever, maybe seldom or if ever, Mike Bennett, as the Manatee Supervisor of Elections, asked for additional funds in the budget for operations at the supervisor's office. Now, can you guys kind of think back? Do you remember that happening ever?
I distinctly remember Mr. Bennett coming forward and saying, "Thank you very much. I don't have any budgetary needs." I mean, what do you think, Reggie? Do you remember that?
So here's the thing. Anytime I hear Mr. Bennett's, name, I think about the first time I met him. And it wasn't at the Supervisor of Elections office. It was when I came on the canvassing board. And the first time I met him was the night before we were representing Manatee County, where all of the learnings take place in Orlando. So we were actually in Orlando, and here I am looking for a guy. Obviously, he may know how I look, right? But I didn't know how he looked. And he comes up behind me and, taps me on the bike and congratulates me and everything. And that was my very, very first time meeting him. And the next morning, it was the same guy, the same smile, the same conversation tone. And I saw him at lunch last week, and it was the same person, right? So what we're asking now is, do we recall him ever coming down? And I can't recall him ever coming down and asking for more money. More importantly, from my recollection, I think I remember him taking pride in not ever asking for an increased budget. I do recall that. And just knowing the times that I sat with him and the times that, from the time I met him to the other day, what I have seen is, some consistency and a lot of integrity. And now when we come in this situation right here, I'm not saying the other visual does or does not. I'll let y'all make your own decision. But there are going to be a lot of eyes watching this because what was done, when it was done, and how it was done.
Yeah.
I have something to add, Sherry, because I remember, I've been around a long time, and when Bob Sweat was the Supervisor of Elections, and I remember when Mike Bennett won that seat, and I recall him saying, everything has been run so well. Why would I change anything? Mike Bennett said. I am going to continue with this great setup, this wonderful infrastructure for the SOE, and I am going to continue on with Bob Sweat's legacy that he's put together here. because it's wonderful. And that's what he did. And, you know, we hear a lot of talk these days about, you know, being conservative and, you know, not overspending money. And that's what I see in Mike Bennett, is that he didn't see a need to change anything or spend any more money, and said, if it ain't broke, why fix it, you know? And that served this community really well. So I also want to thank him.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, the further you look, I think from the county administrator standpoint, what I remember is not getting a phone call, not having problems, not hearing. I mean, basically, I think Mike Bennett and his staff would say, we don't want our name out there. We don't want people talking about it. And it wasn't. So, you know, I think that's another thing I've got concern about, you know, is that, you know, there's a lot of, especially in this type of election year with not very many months, just a few months until the primary and then a few months until the main election. So I know that having someone like a Scott Farrington there who had, like you were starting to say, Misty, like has a master's degree in information systems management, which basically meant something goes wrong with the computers or the counting machines and all that, he actually knew how to fix them. You know, also that he had the certification, election registration administrator, and like you said, a master's, Florida certified election professional. I mean, how does it seem that somebody with all that experience doesn't get moved forward when in a crucial time period? It's hard for me. It's hard for me to say that that's not of most importance to the constituents of all of Manatee County.
Well, I will say this, and you know, the need to assure that everything is going to be, you know, considered as what the word partisan. I will say that as far as some of the issues that have come up within the new supervisor of elections political strides, and some of those things are going to be on the ballot here coming up, and you know that's going to be very interesting on how some of that is going to be managed.
Lots of people are getting in the race, right? Didn't we just
Right.
get some new folks just in
Right.
the last couple of days in the district I live in, which is District 1? I don't have a commissioner right now. We have no voice. It's six. It's six there, not seven.
So will the governor appoint somebody between now and then? Will the public have any say so? Where are we with all that? I'm just curious.
Hey, we don't know, right? Who knows? But I doubt the governor's going to waste time and energy to appoint someone for 2 months. I mean, what do you think, Sherry?
Well, I personally, I think we are owed somebody to represent us in District 1. The budget's coming up. It starts in June. The budget gets finalized in September. I mean, it's disappointing to me that this is how it went down, where my commissioner didn't even finish out, you know, the term that was elected to be in for us. I mean, we're the growing area. So, you know, I see other people jumping in the race. That's good. It looks like it's Republicans, Democrats, non-affiliates. That's good. So like I said earlier, I think the people should select, you know, who is going to be in these positions. So if we need to go without someone for a few months, okay, there's 2 at-large commissioners. We'll talk to them. Maybe they'll stick up for District 1. And well, quite frankly, there's most of the stuff that's been happening in District 1 had already been happening from, you know, previous boards, like when you guys were on it anyway. So we'll just continue to do what we do and hope for honest, fair, sensible election results, right?
Yeah. Well, you're right, Sherry, in that it is one of the most, if not the most important time of the year for the county commission in going through the budget cycle and adopting a budget. That's that's by law, like one of only two things that county commissioners have to do. And now we don't have a full board to do it. And there's the possibility, I guess, of a tie, but we all know there's not the possibility of a tie, I don't think, in current climate. But yeah, it is disappointing. And Reggie, to go back to your point, in that the SOE role, it must by state law required to be a very fair-minded, nonpartisan person who is going to make sure that the elections are fair and that everyone has the same rights in casting their ballots and that everything will be done above board. But we have now a supervisor of elections who has not been that person. He's been extremely partisan. He's brought the abortion debate and the gun debate and his opinions and thoughts very loudly to Manatee County. And I think if you look at his social media, he continues to do it. So I am really disappointed. I'm not confused about why it happened. I told you why it happened, in my opinion. It's because the whims of certain people are more important to the state of Florida right now than serving the people here. I'm sorry, that makes me so sad to even say that, but that is who we are right now. And yeah, but you know what? I'm an optimist. I always say that, and it is, water finds its level, things will work.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, and maybe I shouldn't say this on the show, but I think one of the greatest times that I had sparring with the guy doing the abortion stuff. I still stand by this. A man should not tell a woman what to do with their body. That's probably going to come up. They may edit this out, but I still feel that way. I still feel that way. But I just, that was a tough topic, and I don't want to bring it out on our show, but just to missing it and with it coming out, there are people that will be voting that was concerned about the momentum that the now supervisor of the election, was bringing at that time with those particular topics. So, I mean, there's going to be some serious concerns about that. But I mean, I had a learning curve. You have a learning curve, and we'll go from there. All right, a couple things though for everyone to remember. June 10th through the 14th is the final qualifying period for candidates. All right, so we'll probably get back to that in a little while once the qualifying takes place. Obviously, we're going to keep you updated on who's running which races and things like that, and the platforms. And we're going to attempt to educate you on the candidates, and you have to make your informed decision to make sure that you vote for who you feel like you need to vote for.
Good points, Reggie. Thank you so much. And thanks for everyone again being on the Big Picture Manatee. This topic will continue, as you said, to be popular for us, and stay tuned and connected with us.
Yeah, and just a reminder about mail-in ballots, the law changed a little bit. And so you do have to request a mail-in ballot every single year or election cycle. So if you want a mail-in ballot, you can request it until about 1 week before the primary. So that's around August the 9th, just to make sure there's enough time for you to receive your mail-in ballot. So don't forget, you can do it by phone, you can do it online, just get it done if that's the way that you like to vote. And go to YouTube and please subscribe and like.
Yay.
Also find us on Facebook at the Big Picture Manatee and our webpage, thebigpicturemanatee.com. Let us know your thoughts. Please join. Look forward to hearing from you.
Stay tuned, everybody. We will be back soon with more episodes. We appreciate you. Thanks from the Big Picture Manatee.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.